I'm going to go over the setup of your first project in a number of very short videos. This makes it easier for people to follow. I'm going to start off with this one and we're going to talk about domains. Now, you can actually do this in a number of different ways. You can either purchase an exact match or a phrase related domain, a brand new one for each project. You can use a subdomain, so if you have a generic domain, for example, then you can use a subdomain with the keyword phrase as the subdomain. And then you can also use, if you have a generic domain, you can use just a page as long as the menu doesn't show on that page. So if you're promoting a particular niche, in my case I've got a site which I run a load of tiny little projects which I put together for IPS. That was called Iconic, and then I had a series of siloed landing pages on that domain, but each of those were specific to a specific product or niche. So I can have lots and lots of different niches on the one site, but they were all on different siloed landing pages. So hopefully that's clear. But in this case, I would say perhaps the best way of going about this is to purchase a cheap domain specifically for this project. And the reason for that is that you may find that your site begins to rank on its own for the key phrase, which is an added bonus. It's not something we're particularly aiming for, but if that happens, then obviously that builds an asset straight away. So I'm going to recommend or suggest that you go with a keyword related domain. But if, like I say, you do have a generic domain and you want to just stick to the one, maybe you're on a budget, then by all means do so and go for the subdomain option, which is probably going to be the best option to use. So anyway, we're going to go over to GoDaddy now, which is where I purchase my domains from. You don't have to go there, but where I've got an account, so I'm going to use that for argument's sake this example. So right here is the GoDaddy site. This is the site that I buy all my domains from, but you can buy yours from wherever you prefer. It really makes no difference at all. So what I'm going to suggest is that you use the key phrase or EMD. Now, there's lots of talk about EMDs not working. Well, we're not actually trying to rank a site here, but every little helps. And in my experience, having an EMD for some of these tiny little sites does actually work out quite well. What it will do, it will allow your PR to be more optimized, because that key phrase is already in there when you put your link inside the PR, so that helps as well. So again, you don't have to follow this example. You can use any generic site or domain, I should say, and just use a page off of that site, or you can use a subdomain, as I've mentioned before. But if you're new to this, I'm going to suggest you just go with the new domain, because it's just going to be so much easier for you to understand. So get yourself a domain, so key phrase in there, and then we'll search for a domain. Okay, well I don't want to pay anything like that for one single domain. We're talking less than a tenner if I can get there. So how to get rid of cold sores.co, $6.99, that would work perfectly. You could go for country specific. The reason I don't tend to do this is because I kind of always have like a get out built in, and what I mean by that is that someday I might like to flip one of these sites on Flipper, for example. I do that quite a lot, and if you've got a country specific domain, you're going to find it more of an issue to sell it to somebody who doesn't live in the same country as you. Okay, I've run into this issue before. It can be done, but it is complicated and it is an awful lot of hassle. So I would suggest that you try to steer clear of country specific, but again, this will be down to you. So I would go with something like that. So get rid of coldsores.co. Doesn't worry too much, the fact that we haven't got the .com, because as I said, we're not trying to rank anything here. So we would select that one. Okay, and then continue to cart, and then obviously on this page you would just continue through the whole cart, clicking no thanks everywhere because you don't want to buy anything else. The only thing that I would say is you may want to protect your identity and your online details, so you might want to tick that, and then your identity is hidden by proxy, so nobody sees your details. So before we continue, I'd just like to reiterate those points. I'm going to suggest that you start off with a specific domain just for ease of use, but if you're used to doing this kind of thing, of course you can use a subdomain or a page on a generic site. Now just for an example, I'm going to show you a generic site. You can see one of my pages on there. This isn't for this particular project, but you'll get the idea. So this is the site I was talking about. You can see it's a generic domain. It's just called iconic, so that really means nothing whatsoever. And then on this site I run lots of different projects, and you can see some of them here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on one. Now most of this was set up for the IPS project, but I'm just going to show you one of the pages now. If I just click here to view. Okay, so you can see that there's nothing on this page that would link to a page not connected with this particular niche or project. So I'm promoting how to get rid of hives. Same sort of thing as I've just shown you, and it's just basically a landing page, which is very similar to what we're going to be doing in this project, but it's going to be slightly different, and you'll get to see that in just a while. But I just want to show you this as an example of what you can do. So you can just use one generic domain, and then you can have as many of these projects as you want on that domain. But of course, if you use the EMD or the specific domain for each project, you always stand a good chance of being able to rank that site as well. Plus it gives you the option of perhaps flipping that site in the future. Okay, so you've got options there, and obviously the other one is the subdomain. Now for anybody interested in subdomain setup, I'm just going to take you quickly over to one of my hosts and just show you how that can be done. It's really straightforward, and it takes just seconds to do. So let's go and take a look now. So this is one of my hosting accounts over at HostGator. I'm sure many of you use HostGator, and it works well for a great example. So what we need to do is you need to scroll down until you come to subdomains here. Okay, and then we click on there. Then what you need to do is you need to choose from the drop down menu the domain that you want to host your subdomain on. You may only have one, but in my case I have hundreds, so you can see that this is rather a short and generic domain, so it's just foryou.co. Perfect. So now what we do is we paste in our keyword. So then it would be how to get rid of cold sores .for you or for-u.co. Okay, so this bit gets lost, and this bit, because it sits in front of the actual domain, you can actually rank for this key phrase. So this is another really neat way of doing it if you wanted to go down this route. So basically what happens is once you create this, then that acts as an entirely different domain, really. At least the search engines, and to all intents and purposes it's viewed as another domain. So you put a complete WordPress installation on this one domain, and that's all you need to do. It's actually perfect. Okay, so pretty easy stuff. If you get stuck with anything, please watch this video again. It's all in here. It's all pretty easy to do. If you're new to this, or you think you might want to flip a site in the future, then go with the specific domain option. If not, utilize one of the domains that you already have, or get a generic domain specifically for this purpose and use that one. You can either use the subdomain option or just the page option. Okay, in the next video we're going to cover hosting and some other nuts and bolts